These numbers are completely derisory relative to the scale of the problem, and this is Starmer massively on the back foot. You know, his party is currently literally behind Reform in the polls, despite his enormous majority in the House of Commons. He's panicking, and they've rustled up this pathetic stunt. Well, taxpayers are not going to be deceived by this, are they?
This is a really simple rule, and you and I can disagree with it. In fact, I do disagree with it. Sure. But here is the rule. You can only be exempt for capital gains tax on the sale of your primary residence. And it is a classic dodge to pretend that, in fact, the other property that you're selling is your primary residence and your partner lives in that, and actually you're living parallel lives. It is a load of nonsense. It's quite obvious that she has tried to dodge here, in my opinion.
Just like that, Keir Starmer and Rayner went from smug sound bites to stunned silence, all thanks to Isabel Oakeshott, who walked in armed with facts sharper than Rayner's side-eye and sassier than Starmer's awkward pauses. One moment they were spinning slogans, the next they were pinned down like dodgy WhatsApp messages in a leak. Isabel didn't just expose them, she shredded their talking points and served them ice-cold. What exactly did she reveal that left Labour scrambling for the fire exit? This wasn't a debate. It was a demolition British politics. Like this one, don't forget to like the video. And subscribe to Dark British. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free.
You know, taxpayers are entitled to be absolutely bloody furious that once again their intelligence is being insulted and their hard-earned cash is being squandered arranging exclusive private jet travel for Albanians who, you know, let's be frank,
have broken the law. Have broken the law.
They've broken the law, and what are they getting? 4 seats each or something on the private jet. What an absolute joke, and what a disgrace this government is.
And I think she's in real difficulty.
But this is not the kind of
and
thing
it
that
is
should
such a
resign
trivial amount of money, and I wouldn't mind so much if it weren't for the fact that Labour is so profligate with our money and proposes ever higher taxes, yet doesn't want to pay them themselves.
Keir Starmer once told a crowd he had a plan. That alone was the first red flag, because if Starmer has a plan, you can bet it's laminated, color-coded, signed off by 6 anonymous advisors, and comes with at least one pre-scheduled apology. And standing right beside him, like a badly written subplot in a soap opera no one wanted, is Rayner, who somehow manages to be the human version of shouting inside a tin shed. Loud, echoey, and completely incoherent.
The purpose of this government is to make our public services and our economy work for working people, strengthen our country in a world that increasingly preys on weakness. It's a cause that demands nothing less than the full power of government. Yet that's precisely what's broken.
But then Isabel Oakeshott stormed into the conversation like a chainsaw dipped in sarcasm, and suddenly the entire Labour fantasy went up in flames, like a copy of Starmer's latest manifesto left too close to a radiator.
Over this, because we're the ones that have to face the consequences of having all these people in the country, in our country, who should not be here, and they're using it as some kind of hotel, despite the fact that many of these people that we're talking about here in these court cases actually have serious criminal records.
Yes.
Keir Starmer is the kind of man who could watch a building collapse and still need 6 focus groups to decide if it was tragic. His political instincts are so overcalculated that he spends more energy avoiding offense than actually doing anything. And Rayner? She's like if someone took the idea of working-class authenticity, shoved it through a spin machine, and then had it read out by a malfunctioning Alexa.
Out and dry it, all done that. Hope it goes away. Or you can strip it out, rip out the plaster, and deal with the problem once and for all.
Isabel Oakeshott didn't just criticize them, she dissected them like a GCSE biology project gone wrong. She didn't need flashy quotes or stage drama. All it took was a bit of logic, a touch of contempt, and a side-eye so sharp it could cut straight through Starmer's famously vague policy outlines like a scalpel through soggy paper.
I think there is going to be political hell to pay for this deal that's being done today, this very, very dirty deal. Starmer has long been desperate to reverse Brexit, and now he's in a position where he's doing it in stages. This is a big set of concessions that he's making today, and actually far be it from me to praise the Tories, but I think James cleverly had it right when he tweeted this morning that Starmer has got diplomacy the wrong way.
Let's start with Keir's version of leadership, which seems to involve performing political taxidermy on every idea that once had life. He's taken Labour, a party that once carried real fire, and turned it into a TED Talk delivered by an exhausted HR manager. Starmer promises change like a dodgy builder. Plenty of tools, but no clue. And whenever he's pressed, he responds with all the emotional range of a self-checkout machine, politely reminding you to remove your item from the bagging area. Angela, on the other hand, storms into debates like she's been binge-watching EastEnders, convinced that yelling, "I'm one of you" loud enough will hide the fact she's throwing out contradictions like confetti. Her whole act relies on the idea that being loud equals being right, which might work if you're 6, but not if you're running for power.
But unless we fundamentally reform the way government goes about its business, unless we first change how we try to change the country, then the hairdryer is all we've got. And this is a big job. Prisons overflowing, the NHS on its knees, a £22 billion black hole in our public finances, which, to put that in context, is nearly half of what we spend on defence of our...
Isabel, of course, wasn't buying any of it. She treated Starmer's so-called integrity like a knockoff handbag, fine from afar, but up close the stitching's off, it smells odd, and it's probably held together by the tears of betrayed trade unions. She pointed out what most people have known for years. Starmer changes positions more often than a mattress in a budget hotel. He backed Corbyn until it got uncomfortable, embraced Brexit when it became useful, wooed centrists, flirted with the left, and now ghosts everyone depending on who's polling best that week. And Angela? Isabel sliced through her shouting matches like a laser through butter. Behind the noise sits a politician who seems to think that yelling about injustice is the same as fixing it. Drop a few G's, remind everyone you once worked in a care home, and hope they overlook the fact your policies leak like a second-hand sieve. Let's be real. Oakeshott isn't known for subtlety. She didn't tear into them with fire. She did it with precision, like a bored surgeon tired of playing operation. Starmer, she made clear, isn't really a leader at all. He's a human screensaver, occasionally flickering into relevance, but mostly just floating aimlessly. His grand vision for Britain? To make things slightly less embarrassing. Truly inspiring stuff.
What you do is that you try to develop good relationships with other countries to further your own interests. You don't sacrifice your interests in order to develop better relationships with other countries. And you know, Starmer, what bit of this doesn't he understand? The British public are absolutely sick, fed up of the state of immigration. They are fed up with mass uncontrolled immigration. Starmer can shout as much as he wants about smashing the vile people smuggling gangs. He's smashed precisely 0 gangs.
Rayner, meanwhile, got the kind of reality check that makes you rethink your life choices. Isabel exposed her as someone whose knowledge of policy shrinks the louder she shouts. Honestly, it's almost impressive, the sheer amount of words Rayner can unleash without actually saying anything solid. It's like sitting through a TEDx talk given by someone who only skimmed the headlines on the way in. But let's get into specifics. Take Starmer's famous U-turns. First, there was the nationalization pledge, which he clung to for all of 5 seconds before filing it under, not electorally convenient. Then his grand promise on student debt, cancel the fees, stand with the students, fight the good fight. That was, of course, until someone slid a spreadsheet across his desk and he ghosted Gen Z quicker than a bad Tinder date. And when Starmer promised he'd bring back trust in politics, you could practically hear irony choking in the background. This is the man who vowed unity, only to deliver a party split wider than Rayner's northern vowels. And Isabel didn't even have to exaggerate. She just pointed, smirked, and let the contradictions collapse under their own weight. Then came economy. Dear Lord, the economy. Starmer talks about fiscal responsibility like it's a brand new religion. He even clutches Rachel Reeves like a political crucifix to ward off Labour's old reputation for reckless spending. But Reeves' economic policy, when you strip away the buzzwords, amounts to little more than cut some spending, smile awkwardly, and pray no one notices. The whole thing is built on borrowed conservative slogans and wishful thinking.